Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Candida Schwartz, and this is my channel, Vital Healing. I'm also an intuitive healer and craniosacral therapist practicing in Midcoast, Maine. For this episode, we are going to talk about anxiety. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so last Thursday's episode was about depression. And so this week, we're going to talk about anxiety because they're very connected. I kind of see them as two halves of the same coin. But they both present in very different ways, but they can be very intertwined for many people. So today we're going to talk about depression, and these videos are specifically like things that you can do that are safe for everybody, because so many people are on supplements already as well as medications. So I can and I will do a video about supplements and things and herbs and things that you can take to help with your anxiety. So comment below if you're interested in that. But this is kind of just easy self-care tips that you can incorporate into your day and hopefully lower your anxiety, know the triggers, understand the triggers and how to avoid them, and just kind of help with, things that you can incorporate into your day-to-day practice that can just kind of help with your overall mental health. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is just explaining anxiety. And many of you know the difference between the sympathetic versus the parasympathetic systems. The sympathetic system is the fight or flight. And I'm not going to go too into this because I think there's a lot of information out there already on it, and most people know about it. But this is where anxiety is triggered. Fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system, our bodies evolved with this nervous system because we had bears chasing after us and like tigers and animals. Like when we were cavemen and women, like there were threats everywhere and our body needed to kick into action for survival. So that's the sympathetic nervous system. That's what fight or flight is. But sadly, all day long, every day in our modern society, we are in fight or flight mode. There are bears and tigers and rabid animals chasing us all day long, a lot of time in our thoughts. And so I just wanted to talk about ways to understand this system and understand when it's worthwhile and when it's actually just fear-based. I was reading the other day about an acronym for fear, and it was false examples appearing real. And I thought that was such an interesting thing to come through. I have struggled with anxiety and depression all of my life, but I would say in general, I'm more on the anxiety spectrum. So these are some things that help me with my anxiety and that I offer to a lot of my patients and clients to do, for as part of their treatment plan. So now that you understand the sympathetic nervous system, how do you get yourself into the parasympathetic system? So how do we get into a relaxation mode? How do we tell our bodies there are actually no bears? And if something is a threat that's coming in, like something's really freaking you out, you have to handle it. It's not about freaking out in anticipation for it. It's about like there's been an accident, I have to deal with it, right? Not, will there be an accident? Am I going to get sick? Am I going to fail my exam? Is my partner going to leave me? Is somebody cheating on me? Am I just like a nervous wreck and I just don't have faith? Ultimately, that's what's going on, right? We don't trust the situation. We don't trust our existing world. And so that's the first thing that I wanted to talk about. When people are depressed, they're heavy, they're stuck. But when people are anxious, they're up here. It's chaotic, it's restless. It's a lot of like reptilian brain and a lot of like egoic brain and mental chatter and a lot of like noisiness that's telling our brain that you should be freaking out, even when there might actually not be anything to be freaking out about, right? So differentiating that. So taking a moment to to get into your grounding, to come back into your body, to get out of your head, get into your heart, get into your legs, like really just feel this energy coming down. The one really great thing to do is parasympathetic breathing, right? That's the number one thing to do. Vagus nerve stimulating breathing, where you inhale, you hold it, and then you do a longer exhale. And you do that as many times, and you'll notice that your inhale gets longer, your exhale gets longer. And then you can start to assess. Am I in jeopardy? Do I need to react? Is maybe some of this in my brain, right? So that's right there. That's a number one thing that you should always do when you're in an anxious situation. For me, it's stones. Stones and aromatherapy really help. So that's 2 and 3. Grounding stones. Stones in general are very grounding because they are of the earth, right? And so the black stones, the red stones, the darker colored stones, those are the stones that are really helpful for getting us grounding, calming us down, feeling safe and protected. Obsidian, carnelian, onyx, shungite, black tourmaline, red tourmaline. Those are the colors that come. Those are the things that come to mind to get us back into our body. Calming oils. So this is number 3. Calming oils. I love geranium. And I've done videos about all of this in different ways and in more in depth. So I'll link things below. But geranium is an oil of trust. It is calming. It is comforting. It's an oil of trust. And if you're anxious, especially if you're chronically anxious for no real reason, you know what I mean? Like it's just how you are. Geranium is a really great thing to diffuse or dilute and put it on your face. It's really good for your skin. You can put it in your hair. You can put it in your scalp. Incredible for your hair and scalp. You can put it on your heart. You can put it on your belly. You can put it on your feet. Lavender is an obvious one. Frankincense is probably like the king of all oils, right? And the king of grounding. Ylang ylang can be a really great one. So just depending on how you like your oils to be, like some people like the more floral scents, some people like the more herbaceous scents. Some people, yeah. So those are the top. Those are 3 things that I would recommend. Now, another thing that I want to talk about if you are an anxious person or you struggle with anxiety in whatever form, getting focused. So this is number 3. This is number 4. Focusing in on where you're feeling that depression or where you're feeling that anxiety, excuse me. So, you start to do your breathing and you start getting into your body and you notice, is it in my stomach? Is it in my head? Is it in my neck? Is it in my throat? And then you just bring awareness to the area as part of that breathing. Anxiety is something is telling you that you have fear, right? That's it. So is it something got triggered? Something just happened and it reminded you of when your mom always told you to shut up when you were little. And so your throat's getting really tight and you're feeling anxious because your boss is reminding you of something like that. So getting focused into it with your breathing, with your meditation, you can do emotional freedom technique, the tapping technique that I talked about with the depression last week. Those can be really helpful ways to just put focus and attention, just to understand why am I anxious in this moment, right? When you're anxious, you need a minute before you can actually understand why you're anxious. So that's why I would do the parasympathetic breathing. Find a stone, put it on my lap, put it on my bra, put it somewhere, right? Keep breathing, get some aromatherapy going, and then put focus towards it. Those are 4 things right there that you could do within 3 minutes, right? And you're already calming yourself down. And I'll talk a little bit more about why anxiety can be so detrimental to your health at the end of the video. So stay with me, okay, everybody? Number 5, um, keeping busy can be really helpful for people that are restless and nervous and anxious, right? So, but I find that so this is kind of a twofer. Number 5 is kind of a twofer. It's like staying busy can be very good because you're putting the energy into something, right? It's nervous energy, and so you're putting it into something. But I'm going to say another thing that can be really helpful is planning your day. And I find that it's even better to plan your day the day before. So maybe before bed, or maybe like after dinner, or when you have a minute the day before, say, okay, put it in your book, put it in your journal, put it in your phone, and say 7 o'clock, I get up, I do my deep breathing meditation for 5 minutes. And then I do 5 minutes of journaling. Let's just say that, right? And then at 7:30, I'll get a quick workout in. Then I'll take a shower, have some breakfast, off I go. Okay? I work, and if you're working from home, like I think a lot of us, especially during the pandemic, it's like we don't really have a lot of like schedule for ourselves. So that can be really helpful to plan it the day before, even like what you're gonna wear, right? That can be really helpful to decrease the anxiety. And it'll ultimately help you sleep better too, because the day tomorrow is planned. I don't have to think about it, I don't have to worry about it. I can rest and then hit the day. Okay, so that was kind of 5 and 6, okay? And then another thing, like just on like you're getting your basic needs met. We can get anxious when our blood sugar drops. We can get anxious when we have too much caffeine. We can get anxious when we're dehydrated. So just make sure you're drinking water all day. You know, making sure that you're properly hydrated. Be mindful of the caffeine. I really like the Creole brew, which I did a video on. I think that can be really helpful if caffeine is a problem for you. And it can help you really focus. So that's a really great idea. Yeah, and then, so then number 9, what I wanted to talk about is, I just want you to know that like, and I just want you to hear this, and you've probably heard this before, but I just want you to know that like, you are not your thoughts. So you are much more than your thoughts. And so I think that that's a really good thing to think about. If you are afraid, if you're having fear, if you're having worry, if you're having anxiety, if you're restless, it doesn't define you. It's just something that's going on within you that needs to be addressed. And of course, number 10 is, and I talked about this, get that MTHFR lab testing. I talked about it in 2 other videos. Again, I'm going to link all this below, but get that. If you have chronic depression, anxiety, or any kind of chronic illness that you've been struggling with for all of your life, and just something's always a little off, it can be very easily remedied. Get that lab test and figure it out, and talk to a doctor that will interpret it and give you a really easy treatment plan to help support your body. And then number 11 is, if you really are struggling, phone a friend. Get a team behind you, right? So consider going to a therapist, consider going to an intuitive healer, consider going to an alternative doctor, and consider also, if you need, consider medications until you can get through it and understand it and be stabilized, so then you can do some of the internal work to optimize your mental health and heal yourself, body, mind, and spirit. You know, holistic healing, because the issue with bears running after us all day long is that cortisol gets blasted by your adrenal glands when you're in that fight or flight mode, and so is adrenaline. Adrenaline clears after about 45 minutes, but cortisol stays high for 24 hours. So if anxious moments are happening, if stress and nervousness are happening, again, within that 24-hour period, you're getting more blasts of adrenaline and cortisol. This increases our inflammatory markers, which creates which wreaks so much havoc on your physical body. So getting depression depression as well as anxiety under control, and doing the work around it can really be helpful. And for me, I see my team. I have an acupuncturist. I have a craniosacral therapist. Um, I have my friends that I go to. I go to my husband. So I'm very grateful that I have that. And I have my tools that I've worked with in my life to support myself. And I'm always encouraging my patients and clients to have the same. But I also think about my spiritual team, my angels, God, spirit, the divine, the universe, the trees that are outside, the stones that I live in a mountain. So I think about this. I think about the animals that are out there that come and see me in a day, the hummingbirds that come, the deer that come, the ocean, the lakes, like I really think about my dearly departed loved ones. I really think about my angels. I call to them. They're always right here. And so I don't only think about my earth angel team, I think about my spirit angel team. And I encourage you to do the same. So I hope this is helpful. It's a little longer than I like to make my videos, but I hope you stayed to the end. I hope you like, subscribe, and share. Turn on that notification bell. Comment below. It gives me a voice on this platform, and I really want to continue making these videos for you. So have a great day. Take really good care of yourself, and we will see you next time.